And I started shifting my perspective on what I wanted to do a little bit. And,
Mhm.
for me, the breaking point for my career change that really happened was when my son looked at me and said, "Why are you always on your phone?"
Hello, and welcome to the When I Grow Up podcast, where we talk about what people wanted to do when they grew up, what they do now, and how they got there. And I'm not going to spoil it today for you all. I want you to hear about Kira's first When I Grow Up straight from her. It's so fun. But to hear her journey from that place to where she is now is a beautiful reflection of where our core desires hold true no matter what our story began as and where it ends up as. So let's dive in and talk to Kira today. Kira, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I am so excited to have this conversation with you. And where I always love to start the conversation is with the same question. What is it that you wanted to be when you grew up?
Love that question because there has been so many iterations of it. When
Mhm.
I was really young, like think grade school, I actually wanted to be a truck driver. I really thought it would be
I
so
love it.
cool to be on the open road, to sleep in my truck.
Did you have family who drove trucks, or was it just did you do a lot of road trips and see truck drivers? Like, where did that come from?
Yeah, no to any of that. And honestly, that might be where it came from. Like I didn't get to travel a lot as a kid.
Mhm.
We did a lot as a family, but traveling was just not in our zone of experience. And so part of me wonders looking back if maybe that's why, like maybe in my head I had envisioned just being out on the open road and just the fun that you could have. But yeah, that's where I
Yeah,
actually started. I wanted to be a truck driver for a really long time. So
love it. And what were the so you it doesn't sound like you stayed with that for long. What were some of the other
yeah.
childhood, dreams and imaginations?
Yeah, that eventually evolved into being an author. I thought that I wanted to write books. I kept lots of journals when I was a kid, and in my head, that translated to authorship, which actually may still be there. You never know. There's still always kind of that thing in the back of my mind. I think so. Maybe one day that might still be a dream I want to live out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, by the time I got to high school and college, I knew I wanted to work with people. A front facing kind of person. I like talking to people. I was always the friend that people would come in confidence and talk to and talk through their issues and questions. I didn't really know at the time what that would translate into, but I knew for sure I wanted to work with helping people with their problems. For so that was where I focused. And in college, I really became on communications and public relations with a sociology minor. And so by the time I graduated, I still didn't know, by the way, what I wanted to do. Still just kind of had the
You
dream.
just knew, like, the general area or type of work, but you still weren't sure. Okay.
I had no I was one of those college kids, who graduated still not knowing. Like my friends like had their careers in line, some of them left with offers, they were moving, and I still had no idea where to go in life. Still hadn't figured it out by 21.
Yeah. But, I mean, the part of this show that I think is so important is that the people come on like you are now in a place where you do love what you do. So what is it that you do now?
So now I am a somatic breathwork coach, and I'm actually
Okay.
working on my somatic dance practitioner certification, which should be done.
Oh,
Level one's almost
fun.
done, and then I'll be advancing into the next level. And so I
Mhm,
really help leaders and high achieving women deal with the stuff that comes from being high achievers, the overwhelm, the
mhm.
stress, the wanting to be all things to all people from a leadership perspective, coming from a place of regulation. So that way we can make better decisions. We can be focused. We're not snapping at people. We're really kind of processing at the same time our emotions in a healthy way, working it through the body, working it through the energy so we can take care of ourselves and then everything else that we have to take care of. Um,
Yeah.
but that is something that I've discovered in the last 3 to 5 years, which is interesting. It's not what I
Okay.
ended up doing right out of college during my confused phase. So there's a whole
Sh
cycle of my own stuff to get there.
During your confused phase, I love it. Talk about it though. What okay, so from truck driver to breathwork specialist, what does the journey look like in between all of that?
So after college, what I ended up doing, I'm from upstate New York. I moved to Virginia with a few friends, and I ended up kind of falling into human resources, which checked
Mhm.
a lot of the boxes, very people
Yeah.
focused, handling problems on a daily basis. And I actually had a
Mhm.
25-year career in some realm of HR. So from recruiting to leadership development to training development to executive leadership functions, into like employee relations. So I've hit all the boxes. And that's where I spent most of my career. And I have a huge
Okay.
affinity still for HR. As a profession, it has become a long way in the 25 years that I was in it, for sure. What I started realizing for myself was that the higher I became very focused once I found HR. Like, this is it for me. This is how I'm going to live the rest of my life, and this is the field. So I started working my way up the ladder, in a very
Mhm.
successful career. My last corporate position in HR was as VP of Human Resources, where I managed, the whole thing. And one thing I found to be true for myself was that when I was not dealing with myself on a healthy level, I gave so much to my job. And the higher I got, the more that I gave. And then I had young children and I was trying to do all the things, but I really was not leaving room for myself. And so within the last couple years of my career, I was spiraling. I was hitting the walls. My work wasn't being affected because that I made sure was
Right.
on point. It was
Yeah.
all the stuff in my head and my body that I just was not, dealing with in a very healthy way.
Yeah.
And, the 40 hours a week grew to 50, grew to 60, to me always on my phone and just trying to get all the things done. And so that was when I started recognizing not just a pattern in myself, but in other people. And I started shifting my perspective on what I wanted to do a little bit.
Mhm.
And, for me, the breaking point for my career change that really happened was when my son looked at me and said, "Why are you always on your phone? You're always on your phone." And he was, gosh,
Kids
he's
will do
11.
that to you.
He must have been 7 or 8,
Mhm.
and I thought, "Okay, I have to do
Mhm.
something different. This is not as much as I love my job, this is not an okay way to live."
Right.
And so
Right.
I left. I said, "I just need to take a step away," and I just decided to make a switch, which put me back into confused phase because at this point, I did not know what to do with that. I just knew that I needed a different perspective.
Mhm. Yeah, and I imagine that what you followed in that is you followed what maybe what the world told you was you'll be happy when, you'll be happy when, you'll be happy when, and so like chasing that achievement and it doesn't surprise me that you're working with high achieving women because you probably can relate a lot to that
Mhm.
space but in the midst of that, you followed what you thought was gonna be the path to feeling fulfilled in that wholeness, but it just kept not satisfying, right?
And I would say that's 100% accurate. Like, in my head, I thought I had it all mapped out, right? I went to the college, I got the degree, I went
Yeah.
and got my master's, I got the next degree, and then I just started checking boxes, and along the way, I think I really got away from the things that I really held. We talk about our values and
Mhm.
our systems and our alignment, and I think I
Oh,
really
yeah.
just moved away from those things because I really thought bigger, bigger, bigger meant better, better, better. And
Yeah.
it's funny you say the thought of when I get there, I'll be able to. I kept saying, well, all I need to do is get to that next level. If I
Yep.
just get there, and then if I just make the right
Yep.
hire in this position, my life will be so much easier. And if I just put this system in place, and we get in that habit of just waiting for that next thing, and
Oh,
next thing
yeah.
you know, a year's gone by, 2 years has gone by, 3 years has gone by, and we're still looking for it. So,
Yeah.
and in hindsight, if I had some of the tools then that I had now, maybe I wouldn't have quit. Maybe I would have been able to really harmonize myself a little bit better.
Sure. I get that. I also think there's times where we just hit the place that we need to make a switch, and I
Sure.
am curious, like, what that place was for you because obviously you spiraled. My guess is you burned out.
Mhm.
Um, so then what happened?
So, I can remember the night that like, it had been happening for a while. I'd been spiraling. I was starting to have, mini panic attacks throughout the day. And, we talk about burnout, but when you feel it, it doesn't usually happen overnight. It's usually a pattern of stuff that's happening, and then all of a sudden, it's, like, in your face. You can't ignore it anymore. And that's essentially what happened to me. I remember panicking one night over a spreadsheet of all things, and I said to my husband, "I don't think I can. Why am I doing this in my life?" And I went to bed, tossed and turned all night, and I woke up the next day, and it was this spreadsheet that made me go, "That's it. I'm done." I'd spent hours and hours on the spreadsheet, and I thought, "To what end? Someone's gonna look at it, and they're gonna file it away, and why am I doing this to myself?" So I woke up that next morning, I looked at my husband, and I said, "I think I'm done here." Now, the company I was working for was great, so this is not a knock against them. I was done. I had
Right.
I had hit that
Yeah.
wall. So I looked at my husband, I said, "I'm done. I'm gonna call my boss today, and I'm gonna give him my resignation." And I looked at me, and he was like, "You're just today, you're just gonna quit?" And I said, "Yeah, this is what's right for me. This is not a singular moment. These are all these moments leading up to this, and I just need to make a
Yeah.
change." And I did. I called, and I had a really good conversation with my boss, and I gave him, like, 2 to 3 months, I think. And once I did that, like, I just felt this immense relief, um,
Hmm.
on my off my shoulders, which was amazing.
So then how did you shift in and how did you shift into the breath work then? Was it a class that inspired you? Like, what was it that you ran into and you thought, "Oh, this is interesting."
Yeah, so I had never heard of breath work at this point. At this point, I had tried the meditation, and some other
Mhm.
mindfulness techniques, which were all somewhat helpful in their own way, but breath work was new to me. The next year, I wanna say, I really, just went into exploratory mode. Like, I went to sub at my kid's school, so I spent an
Yeah.
8 to 9 months subbing, so I got to see them almost every day because they called me almost every day. And in the
Mhm.
evenings, I would try different kinds of, like, yoga and taking long walks and going out into nature and trying meditation. And somebody one day just happened to mention, I was in a yoga class, and they said, "Have you ever tried this breathwork thing?" And I thought, "That can't be a thing. I mean, we're all breathing all the time." Literally, it just never even, like, occurred to me that this was a thing. And so I went online, I looked at it, and the first few classes I did, I was like, "Okay, it's helping with the meditation because I was having a hard time being still." So utilizing my breath with the music, I was like, "Okay, it gives me something to focus
Right.
on, get out of my head." And what I found was that the more I used my breath, it was taking me out of my mind and more into I was able to feel again. Like, I was able to, like, go,
Mhm.
"Oh, so I am angry about this. Okay, so I am stressed today." And I was able to just kinda work that through my system. And so it just started with a random, like, I think it was like a 10-minute internet class, that someone happened to mention to me one day. And so I just started
Huh.
Googling and finding different instructors. And then one day, about 2 or 3 years later, I was like, "I do this every day, and I
Mm.
love this. Why can't I teach it?" Like, no
Mhm.
one ever asked me to teach, like, why can't I do this? Like, this could be my thing. Back to the helping and the wanting to work with people and the going through my
Yeah.
own stuff, because at this point, enough time had passed to where I felt better about my situation. I was processing, I was understanding, I
Yeah.
was learning, I was seeking. And so I just woke up one day and I was like, "I can do this. I can
Yeah.
absolutely help people." And so I started researching, and I got a couple certifications. And, yeah, one
Mhm.
thing led to another. Now this is what I do. And then I recently found the somatic dancing, because movement's also important. So the breathwork I do
Mhm.
incorporates movement, but the dancing part, really
Mhm.
expressing and system is so much fun, and it's
Yeah.
also such a great way to process. So I'm adding that in.
Wow, and I just think about how that work that you did, you just kind of settled into as opposed to needing to achieve into, um, being that part where there was all this effort and, "Oh, is this the right fit?" I think it checks all the boxes, but then this that you're in now just it sounds like it feels so natural and so comfortable to be in.
Yeah, it really does. And you know what? Some of my favorite moments when I practice breath work or when I do my own practice is when my kids, who are now several years older, they'll walk in and they'll be like, the first time they were like, "You're right, mom. What you doing?" And I'm like, "It's great."
Uh-huh.
So sometimes, like, I actually incorporate them in it. Like, I'm trying to teach
Yeah.
them how to practice these things, and I make it more fun for
Mhm.
them, like slurping the spaghetti or like blowing out the birthday candle.
Mhm.
So we have ways to make it more kid friendly. But what a great tool for
Yeah.
kids to learn as they're older how to begin to hold their emotions, regulate their emotions, and operate from a place of, you know, more balance, if you will. So yeah, but
Yeah.
it's been a really fun journey. It's been a lot of fun for sure. Mhm.
Have there been in the midst I always like to know, in the midst of the work that you do now, are there parts of it that feel a little bit harder? It's not that you can't do them or that, it makes everything horrible, but more so, do you have both kind of a good and a bad in the job that you go through? Or is it all good?
Oh, that's a great question because I often try to ground myself in reality too, and I don't think that very few things are always all good. Like the perfect slice of pizza, that's all good. Like there are some moments that are all good, but yeah, for
Mhm.
sure. And the upside of my job is the fun and the transformations I get to see from my clients. And I take a very practical approach too. So we're not just going through journeys, it's about focusing on how can you take this in your day because people don't always have an hour. How can you do this in 2 to 5 minutes? Those moments are the best. The downside can be in these types of careers is you're holding space and you're helping others. It's how do you, again, not get back into that moment of burnout, right? Like, I think careers where your job is there to hold space for others and you're really trying to lead them through their transformation, you have to learn how to hold space for yourself and how
Absolutely.
also to take that
Mhm.
rest and to embody what you
Mhm.
preach. And so it is a reminder of this is an ongoing work for myself to not get back to where I
Mhm.
was, as well
Mhm.
as the benefit of seeing the work that I do. It's kind of both all
Yeah.
at once, so that can be tough. So, for sure, I've always sought out my own mentors, my own people to hold space for me, or the
Mhm.
reminder that even though I work for myself and as a business owner, that's also can be, a difficulty taking a break. Trying to
Mhm.
embody all those things that burnt me out in the first place and keeping those at the
Yeah.
forefront. That can also be that's probably the difficult side of it.
Yeah. I mean, you talk a lot about grounding, and um I think part of grounding for you is that constant check-in of, is there space for me in this? And not putting everything into the work that
Mhm.
you're doing, but instead finding that balance, that give and take of, yes, I can give to my work and what I do with my clients and the people I'm serving, and I also need to make sure that I don't give everything. Not because I don't care, but because I need to be able to have some for myself too.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've found that with every level, however you define and I no longer, by the way, define success by traditional standpoints. For me,
Mhm.
success is how am I showing up in my energy? Am I able
Mhm.
to make it through the day myself with all my well-being in check?
Yep.
The clients that I see and the organizations that I work with, success for me is them looking at me and going, "Well, holy crap, that actually worked," right? And
Mhm.
so I just define success differently now. And I think it's really great when people are able to step back and define success is there. What does success mean to you? Not that tradition necessarily that traditional. Now, money and all that can be part of it. There's nothing wrong with goals as long as it comes from where you really wanna be, not just what we think we need to have.
And I think you're right. It's helping people define success in their own terms, but I love how you have been able to say it doesn't always look the same. I've been successful by the official definition, and I
Mhm.
wasn't happy. And being able to step back and go, "But what does it mean to me?" That's huge, and to be able to have an answer for that is incredible.
Yeah. When I look back on my career, though, I think I don't
Yeah.
regret any of it. I've taken it all
You
in.
you totally went right to the question I was gonna ask you because I was
Oh.
gonna say, like, how do you feel looking back? And you're like, "Well, when I look back, I love it." I love it when people we're on the same wavelength. We totally had the same conversation in mind. But continue. How when you look back, how do you feel about that path that you took along the way?
Yeah, I have, I've really tried to, we all talk about having no regrets and we all have them sometimes in the moment, but I look back and I really think while some of it wasn't pleasant, I'm never going to sugarcoat it. The lessons and the takeaway that I learned to get to who I am, I understand myself so much better now than I
Mhm,
did along the way. And I think it's, you know, we all go through our own ups and downs. It's what we take through it and with us.
mhm,
So I can't say looking back I have any regrets. I do not think I'd be where I was today with the beliefs and my values today if it had not been for those experiences. And so while I didn't
mhm,
love going through them, I certainly can take the good from them and the lessons that I've learned. Um,
mhm,
and I have to say I'm probably happier today for it. I'm so much freer as a Kira person today than I was even 5 years ago. Like Kira
mhm.
today is unbound and listens to herself. Kira of 5 years ago listened to a lot of external stuff and didn't understand who I was. Um, you know, all good, all good.
So I'm a big believer in the fact that even though it may sound so silly, our childhood dream has has slivers of truth to what we where we find meaning now. And for you, it's the theme, the parallel is the freedom. It's the I wanted the freedom to go wherever I wanted to go, and now it's I have the freedom to follow and go with helping people in the way that makes sense and be grounded and be along with people in those moments. I love that, and it hit when you were talking about that very last bit because I was like, "This connects, but I can't figure it out." But then you said that, I was like, "It's the freedom. It's the freedom between the 2 that has always stayed with you."
I cannot even tell you how much I love that. I've never thought of it like that before. I've never made that connection. That
I it's
is
it's my favorite
amazing.
thing to do with people. Mhm. They are connected. They are totally connected. Mhm.
Yeah. Wow, I'm impressed. See, I never thought of I love that though. I love that like the kind of the start and the ending and the start where we are now. Of course, not hopefully not the ending, but you know what I mean? Like this the
Yeah,
here and now here we are, current day.
yeah.
That's a beautiful connection.
Yeah, and in truth, a lot of times I think parents and this is kind of a side note, but I think a lot of times parents, if they can ask their kids, "What do you wanna do when you grow up?" "I wanna be an astronaut." Listen, the number of times somebody has told me they wanted to be an astronaut, it's totally okay. The reasons they wanted to be an astronaut have varied. And so to be able to say, "What do you wanna do when you grow up?" and have a child respond and then go, what do you like about that? Or what do you imagine that looks like? That answer is
Mm,
probably gonna be more accurate to what ends up in the future for them. Um,
I
and
love
I
that.
absolutely love
Well, I may if you don't mind, I may ask my kids that now. I never thought to ask that
absolutely,
add-on
please
question.
do. Please do. But it can be so powerful of a conversation. And even as adults, when we're exploring if we're feeling stuck, to be able to go, what is it that I wanted to do? What was my childhood dream? Why? Like, what was it about that dream that mattered to me? And sometimes that can answer questions for the future. So,
Love
yeah.
that. I love that.
Well, last but not least, I wanna give you room. How can people connect with you, learn more about the work that you do? Can you share a little bit more of that to the listeners?
Sure. I work most of my clients I work one-on-one with, and we really shape it around their goals. Like what are they struggling with? What do they need? What are they looking? What have they tried? And so I do a lot of one-on-one work with folks. I also do workshops, team building exercises in organizations, leadership coaching that blends kind of my HR experience because I do have
Yeah.
25 years in
Hey,
HR.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm willing to still use it. I got it. I'll use it. So I'll blend
Transferable
that.
skills. Mhm.
Yes. And, and a lot of it is, bringing in my HR and leadership experience, blending it with the nervous system work that I do so that
Absolutely.
it's not just what should you do as a leader, but it's how can you really live this? How can you really
Mm.
come to that clarity and that focus and that place you want to be to become the leader you want to be? So I really do, when
Yeah.
it comes to leadership coaching, blend both of them together. And it's a beautiful, beautiful blend. Um,
Mhm.
so people can find me on kirawong.com or they can email me at info@kirawong.com. And I have a membership that I'm getting up and running for somebody who wants to be involved monthly, just like little hits, like how can I do this daily, but I don't have an hour every day. Just have some quick works
Mhm.
to do so. Reach out to me for that. That will be up and running shortly. It's going to be called like the reset room, quick hits for
Mhm.
dance, for nervous system regulation, for breath work to help you refocus and energize yourself.
Yeah.
So those are some ways that they can work with me.
That's awesome, and I imagine by the time this episode comes out, because we're recording early, episodes start coming out in about a month. It will be hopefully around the time that everything is coming out so that people can really check out that launch date and everything for you.
Yeah, that's
Um,
perfect timing actually. Mhm.
oh, awesome. I love it. I want to thank you again. It has been so encouraging to hear your story. And I like hearing stories when people say, the piece of I had what would be called success, but it wasn't my version, and to be able to take that risk and step into something completely new, but then pull, like, jokingly, those transferable skills. It's such a beautiful story, and I really appreciate you sharing it with our audience today.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you having me. It's one of my favorite things to talk about. I talk about this all the time is you can shift, you can change, you can pivot. Just learning to lead from your intuition and understanding who you are is just so important. So thank you for giving me another chance to talk about it again.
Absolutely. So did you hear the theme of chasing freedom in her life? Because I definitely did, but I know that I'm always listening for those. And if any part of this episode resonated with you, let me know that too. Let me know in the comments or by liking the video. And if you're looking for more of these types of videos, be sure to subscribe because we're releasing these as much as I can. If there are types of careers you want to know more about, leave a comment and let me know what that is. And above all else, I hope that this episode gave you the opportunity to see that even if it may begin with a silly story of wanting to be a truck driver and leading into a space of becoming someone who focuses on breath work with high achievers, you can see that there's a theme of freedom through her story, and even your story will have a theme throughout. I hope you found that today. I hope it was helpful. And until next time, take care.